Hello year 7, this is Mr. Holmes again with another video. This is a quick brief video to explain and help you understand what your homework task and your research task for your top cards project is about. So in class we looked at some examples of top cards or top trump cards, and we discussed that they all have statistics, that the statistics were all numbers. You also needed a name for each of your cards as well as a picture. Your project specifically requires that you do the following. You have to research and find data for 10 cards. Each of those cards needs to have a name and 3 statistics, as well as an image. You need to save and collect this information and put it into the Excel spreadsheet that has been emailed to you, and that hopefully you have successfully emailed to yourself at home. I won't go into this in any more detail, but this is a reminder of this slide. Just basically shows you the topics that you are allowed to choose. If you choose anything other than this, you first need to clear it with me before you can do that. Don't just do your own thing, because you may in fact be doing it incorrectly. So this video is about detailing how you're going to collect and work with your project. Your research for your project is all going to be done in the Excel spreadsheet document that I have emailed to you, and hopefully you have started working on in class and have emailed to yourself, so that you can continue working on it at home. So the spreadsheet itself has a number of tabs at the bottom, and the first tab, you have to select the topic that you are going to be doing. So I have the spreadsheet open. I'm going to switch to that quickly. So right, I need to just make this the right size so you can kind of see it in here. Apologies. Right, so there's the spreadsheet. Let's hopefully get it to fit. There we are. And you have to choose one of these topics. So let us suppose, for the sake of my demonstration, so that I don't give anybody an advantage, you may not do this topic. So I am, for example, going to be talking about an example called dog breeds. So the name of my card is going to be the breed, and I'm going to have a couple of statistics. The first one is going to be the average age, and I'm going to have the we're just going to do that one to demonstrate what needs doing. But let us suppose we also had 2 other statistics, neither of which, by the way, are particularly meaningful. So I could have weight, and I could also have the height of the dog. Let's suppose that those are my statistics. Just a word of warning, those 2 there are actually not valid statistics, and the reason for that was discussed in class, but I don't want to get into that anymore. So for argument's sake, that is the topic I have chosen. So what you need to do is highlight it, as I've done, and click the bucket fill tool to shade to say, hey, that is the topic I am doing. So that is the first step that you need to do in your task, which is to select your topic. Realistically, you would actually be going to one of these. Let's suppose you selected mobile phones. What you now need to do after you've made your selection, everything in the column card name, stat 1, stat 2 and stat 3 for the topic you have selected needs to be highlighted and copied. Alright, and you then need to switch to the top cards data, which is where you're going to store the information that you have collected. Okay, so there's another tab there. There's also there's a third tab for where you're going to put the hyperlinks to where you got your information from. This is very important that you do this. And a fourth tab where you put the images that you've collected, one image for each of your cards. So back to the top cards data. So I have from my topic selected the actual headings that are relevant or make sense to the topic that I have chosen. In this case, if I've chosen mobile phones, it would be make, model, screen, area, onboard, memory, which is the same as RAM, and battery life. Once I have that highlighted, I simply going to go right click and copy it. Okay, or I could just go Control C, switch to the top card data, and I click on card name. And at this point, I'm just going to right click and paste, and I'm going to paste it using the value option so that I don't bring any of the formatting over from my previous sheet. Paste values, and what I've now done is I've replaced the column headings with ones that are correct and specific to what I am researching. They're not the generic names anymore. So if I undo that, it's not generic names, card names, state 1, state 1, state 2. It is in fact now got the column headings for the topic that I have decided I am going to do. So that's very important that you get that sorted out first. So going back to my example, I'm going to highlight my card name, which is going to be breeds, stat 1, average height, average age, sorry, stat 2, which will be weight and height respectively. I'm going to highlight those. I'm going to copy them. I'm going to go to my top cards, and I'm going to click on cell B1, right click, and I'm going to paste values. And as you can see, I've now replaced it with a dog breed setup. Okay, so what I now need to do is decide on 10 dog breeds, okay, or whatever it is. So I am okay. So Dachshund is going to be my first one, and it's the only one I'm going to do in this demo. And we now go to our favorite internet browser. All right, I'm just going to get this to fit into the window. Apologies. So it's scrolled, the bottom end of it is a bit, so I've simply typed Dachshund into my search engine, and I've hit search, and I'm jumping ahead to one of these sites that I've decided to use to demonstrate this. So, and very nice, I have an image here that I can use. So that's great. I'm going to, before I get ahead of myself, I'm going to copy the hyperlink, which is called the URL, which stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet, and I'm going to go to my research, the My Research tab. This is my first card, card 1, and in this URL box I'm going to simply paste and say keep text only the website where I got the information from. Now what would be really useful is if that link actually turned into a hyperlink, so that I could click on it again later on and visit the page again. That's relatively easy to do. All you have to do is double click on your link after you've pasted, press the space bar once, and then click off your cell, and you can see now my URL has turned into a hyperlink that when I click on it, it will open the website that I went to get the information. Right, so what am I using this web page for at the moment? I'm going to be using it for collecting an image. Right, so back to the website. Now that I've saved where I've got the information from, back to my website, I now right click on my image and I go copy image, and I switch back to my spreadsheet. I go to my images tab, and under card 1, because this is the card for my first alright, I'm going to say keep source format, paste it in there. Now it might be really big, you're just going to have to get hold of it, and there's a reason that I've made this sort of limiting, is that by design, I want you to get these images down to a certain kind of size, so you get an idea of what it would look like if it was kind of that sort of size, because remember, it's going to fit on a card after all, so it can't be particularly big. And if it still looks okay like that, then that's great. You would continue and use that image. If it becomes so small that you can't see it or distorts or something, then I would suggest that you find another image, because it's not really going to work too well then. Right, so there's my image for my Dachshund. Right, back to my top cards data. Right, I'm looking now for the average age. So if I go back to the website, let's go down and see if I can find some information about the average age, and here it is. So the lifespan of this dog is between 12 and 13 years. Right, so how do I work out the average? Well, that's pretty straightforward, because I'm actually in a spreadsheet, so I can just use a formula. So let's use something we have already learned. So I go equals, open brackets, and my two numbers that I'm going to add up are 12. That's the range, 12 to 13 years. I'm going to go 12 plus 13. So the average or the mean of those two things, please notice I've used brackets, are now divided by 2, and I get the answer of 12.5. It is an average age, therefore it makes sense that it is in fact a decimal point there. We're not saying the dog is 12.5 years old. I'm saying on average the dog lifespan is 12.5 years for a Dachshund. Switching back to my website, can I find anything else out? So right, it's kind of for the height, and about the same for male and female. If there were differences, I would go from the minimum to the maximum and just average it out again. So again, I'm going to do exactly the same thing, because I have to work out. So this height is now going to change to average, which I'm going to abbreviate to AVG, average height, and I'm going to go equals, open brackets, and it's going to be 20 plus 27. 20 plus 27, close brackets, and divide by 2, and that gives me an average height of 23.5. And this particular website is measuring the height in centimeters, so I'm going to change my heading at top so that I've got my units measured in there. The average age over here is obviously going to be measured in years, so I'm adding my units in after my name, after my title. How do I make the columns wider? I just move the mouse cursor till I'm in the column labels at the top, and when I get that two-sided arrow, I can just drag it across and make the column wider. Weight, let's see if I can find the weight out for this dog. Weight, yes, it's between 9 and 12 kilograms, so it's measuring the weight over here, and it's being measured in kilograms. And again, I'm going to have to go for an average, because I remember I want to get it down to being one single number, so that when I play the game I can compare to statistics directly. So 9 to 12, so it's going to be equals, open brackets, 9 plus 12 slash for divide 2, press enter, and that gives me 10.5 kilograms as the average weight for the Dachshund. So I can now go back to my research, because I now have not only used this this website for images, and I've also used it for all my stats. Now, what happens if you went to a different website to get the image? Well, you would then have to go and add card 1 in again, and then put the URL of that website into your research, in your My Research tab. So for homework, you need to collect data for 10 categories. Oh, by the way, I've left out the 9. You just need to add it in. Thank you. And so 10 cards worth of data, 3 statistics for each, from the topic list I have given you. You must save the references for each of the 10 cards you have worked with in the Research tab, and you need to have one image for each of the cards you have selected to choose your data for. Alright, that concludes the homework. You need, once you have completed the task, to email it back to your self and upload it to Show My Homework so that you can get access to it again in school or continue working with it. If you do not manage to complete the whole thing, you have one more lesson after this homework tasked to complete your research. So don't worry about it, you will have some more time in class, but by the end of your next computing lesson, you will need to have completed all 10 of these. If you don't do that, you're going to have to come in after school or do it at home to make sure that you get this done, or you will not complete the project successfully. Alright, that's all. Mr. Holmes signing out. Thanks for watching.